Hi everyone, thank you for joining us in today's session of Author Life. Today I'm joined by Miss Taniya Briana and we're going to talk about her book, A Masked Identity. So let me introduce you all to Miss Taniya. Would you like to say a bit about yourself and the book?
Yeah, hi Isvi, and thank you for giving me this opportunity today to come in front of you all and talk to the wider audience over here. And once again, my sincere thanks and my sincere gratitude to Ukiyoto for giving me this opportunity today. To my lovely audience, all of you who are listening to me right now. So as Miss Isvi has introduced me right now, I'm Taniya Briana, and I'm an author. And I happen to be an author by chance, not something that's planned, because as I've also said in my earlier interviews, that I just started writing one day and I continued till today. And I'm an author of three novels. That's the first one is A Journey with You. The second one is um, it's an erotica, so which got published internationally. It's not available in India, but the name is Behind the Curtains. You can look for it in Amazon.com. And the third one, which is from Ukiyoto, is A Masked Identity. You will find this in Amazon.in as well as in .com. Right. And I've also published stories for anthologies. The first one is Wide Awake. It's a collection of stories which is based on women empowerment. And I was really happy to contribute my story. And this got published from Ukiyoto as well. And the latest one, which is going to be published very soon, I think, is the Kolkata Diaries. So it's also an anthology which has stories based on Kolkata. Yeah, that's it about me.
Okay, and I would also like to hear a bit about your book that we're going to discuss today, which is A Masked Identity. Would you like to introduce your characters and what your book is about?
As I said, Isvi, that I happen to be an author. Yes, that's right. But then it's nothing was planned in my life. So it so happened that I started writing one day, and Masked Identity is my one such creations apart from others. It so happened that I was always a lover of, mystery and, psychological, findings and whatever, like suspense, whatever you call it. So I've always been fond of those kind of stories and movies. So one just fine afternoon, I just thought of writing something which is based on mental health. So A Masked Identity is based on two women characters, and they are very strong protagonists in the story. And there's a twist in the story, which I'm not going to reveal all. Of course, I would want all of you, and you would love it. I mean, you would love reading the story, because there's a surprise, there's a big twist at the end of the story. But as I said, it's based on mental health. Two strong protagonists, and the way they take the story forward, you can see women personalities in all the different colors in both my protagonists. There are male protagonists as well, but yes, it's dominated by female protagonists. So if one thing comes to my mind, I'm often asked by people that am I a feminist? I wouldn't call myself a feminist basically, but then I think, yes, I do love writing about women empowerment. So that's A Masked Identity. So all you people out there, all my lovely audience, all the women especially, my friends, if you're someone who feels strongly about yourself, about your personality and everything, you should read this.
Right.
Yeah.
I also believe that your writing career has been so prolific, and also because, like you said, that you just started writing one day, and yet you talk about so many themes, so many issues in your books, and women empowerment is something I feel like is kind of sprinkled all over your writing, whether it be Wide Awake or Kolkata Diaries or A Masked Identity. Like like there are always things about women empowerment or empowerment in general. So talking about the fact that you just started writing one day, which is so interesting to me, because you've released so many books. So can you talk a little about your writing process or your writing history? How did that come about, that you just started writing one day?
I just started writing. Yeah, that's it. I just started writing, and it all happened one fine afternoon when I was working in my office. So I was sitting alone in my cabin, and that time I happened to be the principal of a school in um, Dubai. And I don't know what came to my mind, because maybe I just thought of writing my thoughts down somewhere about me growing up, how I grew up in my home country back in India, in Assam, in Guwahati, because I'm born and brought up in
Right.
Guwahati. So I've seen everything about Northeast, if you're aware of it, Isvi, and I think most of the audience are aware, like the time when I was born in Guwahati, the 1980s, and the time when I grew up, it was quite disturbed. I mean, there were disturbances related to terrorist activities and so on.
Right.
Those
Right.
civil lives were not, affected. We were not affected because we had a quite normal childhood and normal schooling and everything. But as I said, one a fine afternoon, just something came to my mind, and I thought of maybe I thought of writing down a journal or my diary. But then I ended up writing a journey with you, which is my first book, my first publication,
Right.
and the story is based upon true life incidents. It's based on my life, actually, in a way, because I was a part of it, and I saw growing up in Guwahati, in Assam, like what happened, what terrorists did, and how people were affected, and were people affected at all? Because news,
Right.
when you watch the news in TV channel, that's totally a different story. I mean, but then me, being an eyewitness myself, or I would say being a civilian myself of Northeast and growing up during those times, so I thought that I was the best person uh, who would have known what actually happened. So that's what you find. Of course, again, as I say that, yeah, I love writing about women empowerment. So the main protagonist is a woman over there. Her name is Lena, and it's how how strong a character she is and how she struggles to find her real life and everything. My writing process, it's not something which I plan for each and every story. I don't really have a particular, fixed style of writing. But then what I would like to say is I go with the theme, whatever my book is talking about. Let's say if it's mostly about women empowerment, so my language or my technique would certainly pertain to, particular those kind of words or phrases
Right.
that would give, a very higher kind of place or position to women compared to the male protagonist in the story. So that's how I write, actually.
I see. I also really like how you talk about, you mentioned so many times about your female protagonist. I feel like you're like, because I've read your book, so I know that, your characters are so strong. And like you write them with so much visual imagery, even in a masked identity. And obviously, we're going to keep this space spoiler free, but we do have to talk about, the main character, who is Arundhati, and her personality, just everything about her in her book. So why did you write this book and this character and this entire history of mental health?
I think Arundhati is someone, yes, you're right, because Arundhati is a very powerful character. And
Right.
if you've noticed, Isvi, like, and if, my dear audience, if you've read the book, you might have noticed that Arundhati is someone who overpowers, I mean, she overshadows
Yes.
everyone else in the story. Though, the male protagonist, Arvind, is also someone who dominates over the story from the beginning till the end. But wherever Arundhati is mentioned or she is present, she tends to overshadow everyone else. So she's a very powerful character. How she came to my mind, maybe Arundhati, she represents, according to me, Arundhati represents all such women in India, particularly, or I would say all such women in a conservative and a traditional society, who
Right.
have many things in their minds. Like they want to achieve a lot, but they can't due to many bindings, or let's say, traditional boundings or family boundings or whatever you call it. So Arundhati is a good writer. She's a very popular writer in the story. She has published lots and she's quite well known in the story. Yet she has her own barriers in her life because she's married and she's a victim of domestic violence as well. So, a career oriented woman who is very powerful and who's very successful, yet when she's at her home with her husband, she's a victim of domestic violence and she can't do anything about it.
Right.
So I wanted to portray Arundhati, and also to send a powerful message to all my women friends out there, that it's quite necessary to fight for yourself, or we rather as women, we should fight for our own rights, rather than leaning, or let's say, rather than depending on everything for onto our husbands, or onto being a mother, onto our sons, onto our brothers,
Right.
whoever you can think of, because I think we have everything in ourselves, because we work, we also take care of our homes, and we take care of our kids and everything. We do cook, and we do everything. So that's what I wanted to portray through Arundhati,
Mhm.
actually, in the story.
Such a brilliant character. Also, like you said, such a powerful character, and I really like how you're trying to kind of reach your audience in the way that you're trying to tell them that it's okay to stand up for yourself, and it's okay to basically conquer the world as a woman.
Right.
So, is Arundhati inspired by anyone? Because, like you talked about your first book, your upbringing quite reflects in your book itself. You've talked about your upbringing in a way in your first book. So, can I say that Arundhati is inspired by some women you know, or maybe yourself, or just someone's image?
Yes, you definitely you can. I mean, Arundhati is a strong epitome of womanhood, and yes, she's inspired by all the successful women that I know in my life. Can be anyone. It can starting from Mother Teresa to, our Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, or whoever, Princess Diana, all the successful women that we know in our lives.
Right.
Okay, Arundhati is an epitome, and she represents all such successful women. Yet she also wants to, drive home a very powerful message that even though being successful, there might be something, beneath the cover, as we can see it, or
Right.
something hidden in their lives. Maybe they were not happy due to certain reasons, or maybe this is what that's still happening in our modern society, because the society is supposed to be very modern right now, because we all know that it's very modern. Women work outside, and we do have our financial independence, and we do have everything. And but only those women know who have faced it, that even though having financial independence, or having many kind of freedom, some of them, they might not be, actually free. So it's
Right.
not what we see from outside. They might have a different story inside them. So I did, yes, I did try to through Arundhati, I tried to picture, or I tried to represent all such women that I know, I've read about in my life, right from the time I grew up till today. It can be anyone who were successful, are successful. The society, supposedly, society says we are modern, but then yet, they don't do anything. Especially men, they don't change the way they think about women even today.
That's true. That's true.
I won't say all of them. I mean, it would be very wrong on my part to say all of them, but then yes, definitely some of them. Yeah, that's right.
Right. Also, like, because just the fact that Arundhati kind of is an epitome of womanhood and all our struggles and experiences of our life, I feel like your book kind of deals with very heavy themes. So, be it mental health, or be it the character, the life experiences of your characters. And it's not just, I don't think it's just limited to your women characters. I feel like the men in the book also deal with a lot of things. And your book is in a way a thriller in that sense, because again, we're trying to keep the space spoiler free, but there's just so many themes that come up. So how
Yeah.
difficult was it for you to write these scenes out? Because as a reader, it was quite difficult to consume that content. Just I had to, like, sit here and think about it a little, absorb it a little. So how difficult was it for you to write such heavy themes?
Uh, Not very difficult, I would say, but then yes, I did have to reflect a lot on what's actually happening in society, rather than only on bookish or theoretical kind of knowledge.
Right.
So I did have to think about what's actually happening in India even now. I mean, in this century, even in 2022
Right.
or in 2021, when I wrote the book. Um, like you said, Isvi, you're right. Like there are two sides of the book, a masked identity. If there's Arundhati on one side and she has her own problems and she's successful, there's Arvind too. And if you've read about Arvind himself is a victim of
Yes.
many such things, like parents' expectations on a single son. And, Arvind is someone who could never achieve whatever he dreamt of. And there are so many things that Arvind represents. So he also represents the men's society, the single, the only child of parents, who were burdened with, responsibilities and who rarely have a chance to achieve their dreams. So it was a bit difficult, but and I had to reflect a lot on society. I would say I observed, the lives of people that I know. I would say I observed my friends a lot. I observed my cousins, the kind of family lives they had, and many people, my parents. I've seen my cousins, or I've seen my friends, many of them single child, who just went with whatever the parents wanted them to do.
Right.
Maybe some of them wanted to be an artist or an actor, or let's say a fashion, ramp model or something, but they couldn't do it. They had to become a doctor, an engineer, as it is quite popular even now that, you should become a doctor, an engineer. I would, another thing which I would like to reveal to my audience today is, I would say some part of it, Arvind also, pictures a bit of my life in a sense, because even I wanted to be something, but then I became something else. Like I've been a teacher for quite some time. I'm an educationist, but I never wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be something else. But as during my times, people were not so broad-minded. So even like if I wanted to be an actor, I would never be allowed to be an actor. Or let's say if I wanted to be a dancer, for example, I was never allowed to be a dancer. So I think Arvind, though a male protagonist, I think he pictures a part of me too. Yes, I feel that.
Yeah, because like you've mentioned so many times that, society's expectations, this is something that comes up in the book a lot. And it's not limited to just one character. So I really liked how in your book, how relatable these characters get. And it's quite nice to hear that, you all these characters are inspired by experiences of people that you know. But like, what about you? You already have a career, and you also write on the side. So how do you manage that? Because, having a full-time job and also writing on the side, and the fact that you're such a prolific writer, you've written so many books already. How does that go for you?
I would say writing is it's not something I've had to balance so far, because I don't write for the sake of writing. I mean, what I mean is I don't write for the sake of publishing books or adding to the quantity of my books. So I don't have any guidance as to when I write and how much I write, or let's say how many books, if you're understanding what I mean. Like I don't have something in my mind that I should be publishing this many books in a year, to add to my name. I don't have that. I only write when I feel like it. When I have something in my mind and I want to put it down on pen and paper, I do write it that time. And this is what I felt about myself. If I just go back and look back from the time I started writing a journey with you till today, till the two anthologies, I feel that I have only written at times when there was something in my mind that I wanted to reflect on. Something maybe that I've observed in society, or something that I've observed very close in my life, or something related to my own life that I wanted to put down on pen and paper. It's only then when I wrote something. I mean, this is so far till my last publication, till the anthology that I was talking about in Ukiyoto. So I've never really felt this as an extra task added, because I just write because I love writing and I want to, but then not for the sake of, that I have to publish for 5 books, for example, in a year, and to add to my name, or let's say, attend such literary festivals or something like that. So I would say I just love writing, and that's why I love it. Maybe that's why I've never felt this as an added task or something.
I see. So writing doesn't feel like work to you, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't, because I feel happy in a way. I mean, it's a way of putting down my inner thoughts on pen and paper.
Right.
Because even me, if I was asked about my personality,
Mhm.
I happen to be a bit of introvert kind of person. So I'm not very extrovert.
Mhm.
I'm quite choosy about the friends that I have. I'm quite choosy about the places I go, which means, writing somewhere, let it be typing on my laptop or writing somewhere, happens to me like writing my own journal or diary where I'm reflecting my own thoughts. So that's a way of communicating with myself, or
Ah,
that's a way of letting the world know what I feel or what I think about. So maybe that's why I've never felt about it that way, the other way
I
around.
see. Well, every writer has their own routine, and I feel like for you, it's more like putting down your thoughts on your paper whenever inspiration strikes. So can you give our audience who might be aspiring authors some tips on writing? In the kind of routine that you follow.
Um, so far, I don't think I have a particular time. I mean, I write whenever I want to. It
Mhm.
can be an early morning, or it can be late at night, or can be afternoon. But maybe I think I enjoy writing in the late afternoon for some reason. Maybe that's the time that I'm a bit free from my work and the daily
Uh,
chores that we have in our daily life. So that's sometime when I would like, I'm usually alone that time. Maybe that's another reason too. I happen to be alone in the late afternoons. I don't have much to do that time, so I'm alone. Usually I'm with a cup of coffee
mhm.
or something, and then I'm in my room with my laptop, and that's the best time I think that I've had the best ideas so far for writing my books.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually this is what a lot of authors that I talk to mention as well. They have their own time where they feel like everything's coming to
That's
them,
right.
everything's coming to them on the paper as well. Brilliant.
Yes.
I also want to talk a little about the international book fairs that you keep attending. So, like, how
Mhm.
has your author journey been? Like, like after publishing a book, what's your process like?
um Yes, I did attend a lot of international literary book festivals. Like I started my journey first in the year 2020 with the book festival here in Bali. It's quite famous. It's Ubud International Writers Festival. It's quite famous, and many people do visit from outside. So I just happened to
Right.
send my book there, and it got accepted. And that was a journey with you, my first publication, and it was there in the literary festival. Also, my book was there in the Miami Book Fair last year and the Frankfurt Book Fair. So as I said, I just don't write for the sake of sending my books to literary festival. But then of course, yeah, I think that literary festivals are a good platform. It's a wide platform um,
Right.
for reaching out to a wider audience. I mean, that's the best way that you can, as an author, that you can reach out to the wider audience and to get your message across to them. That's
Right.
how I feel about international festivals. How I organize my works or my publication is um, my publication, schedule and my book festival. They are just like two parts apart. I mean, they are just like North Pole and South Pole. I would say it's not connected in any way. But then yes, I do try, like whatever books I have published. Let's say now I have my latest book, the anthology Wide Awake. I have this
Yes.
published by Kyoto. So I do try once in a while. I do try to send my latest works to book festival that's happening internationally all around the world, and I do feel happy if it's accepted, because in that way, sitting here in because right now I stay in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Okay.
I'm residing in Jakarta, Indonesia. I'm out of India for a long time.
Mhm.
So you can imagine like being in Jakarta and having your book there in, let's say, in Australia or somewhere in
Yeah.
India, and having everyone read it. I feel that's a great way
True.
to send your message across to the audience.
Right. Can you
Yeah.
also talk a little about your publishing experience with your like the book that we're talking about, that is A Masked Identity?
Um, I just happened to, I was thinking of sending my book to one of the publishers in India, particularly this time, because my first two books, A Journey with You and Behind the Curtains, they were accepted by international um, publishers, and they were published in USA, and one was published in Hong Kong. But this story was, the reason being, this was set in Goa. Most of the
Yeah.
story happens in Goa, a master identity, and a little bit of it, a part of it happens in Mumbai too. So what I had in my mind was this was particularly for the Indian audience, because the protagonists and the characters were all Indian based.
Right.
So I wanted to send this across to an Indian publisher, and who would do justice to it, and who would distribute this worldwide as well, and in all parts of India. And I heard about Ukiyoto that time, and I just sent my book to them, and fortunately I received an email from them one day saying that we are happy to accept your book. So that's how my journey of a master identity publication begins with Ukiyoto, and I'm still with them. I'm so happy to be with them, because my master identity was not my last work with them, but then after that, as I say, there are 2 anthologies that I've worked with them. I've also worked with them together in book fairs. I've launched my book, a master identity book fairs as well, with their help. So that was really a big opportunity for me.
It's a pleasure for us as well that you've been with us for a while, and we've had the chance to publish your various books. And talking about, because I already love the book that we're talking about right now, which is A Masked Identity, but I've also read your entries for both Wide Awake and Kolkata Diaries. So I do know, I really like your writing, and I really want our audience to pick up your books as well. So because we're talking about that and we're kind of out of time, before we end, I also wanted to talk about, what can we expect from you next? I know that, for you, it's like, writing your feelings down whenever you feel like, but is there any book or anything that the audience can expect from you next?
Yeah, I had a couple of themes in my mind, and Isvi, if you've read my earlier books too, especially if you've read Behind the Curtains, or if you get a chance to read it sometimes, or if you've read A Journey with You, and then when you compare it with A Masked Identity, and if you've read my story in Wide Awake and Kolkata Diaries, you will realize that I like variety. So I don't like sticking to the same themes that I've written in Masked Identity, for example, or what I've written Behind the Curtains. Right. One thing is I love variety, and I love controversy. That's what I openly admit. I do love controversy a lot. So I do have 3 or 4 themes in my mind. That's a bit controversial, not accepted by society greatly in open arms. To be talked about, still to be talked about in whispers or in hushed tones, but then does exist. You might have a feel of it if you read my the particular story that I published in Wide Awake.
Right.
So that's what I'm thinking of for my next book. Or I might think of, because right now, since the pandemic, we have learned a lot of things, that how things can change in 2 years, and we are now quite uncertain about our future. So I might be writing something which is futuristic and based on the future too. So let's see. I have not yet made up my mind, but then as I said, I love controversy a lot. So it might be on a topic which is a bit controversial too.
I see. I have definitely noticed how the kind of things that you talk about is something that society needs to talk about more. Quite brave of you for putting down these thoughts and these topics in the book as well. And of course, there's so much variety in your books, which I absolutely love. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next book. But for now, I would like to tell our audience that Taniya's book, A Masked Identity, has been published by us. And I'll be putting down links for both our website and Amazon when I'll be posting this on social media. So please check it out. Please pick up your copy and read it, and give Taniya feedback for that. And apart from that, thank you so much, Taniya, for joining me today. Unfortunately, we are out of time.
Thank you.
I love this conversation. I wanted to continue it. But thank you so much for joining me today. And I had a wonderful conversation, and I hope our audience enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Love it. Thank you so much too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye. Yeah, you too. Bye.